Oh, hey, how you doing? Hey, tune into the next episode of Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. We're going to welcome our guest, son Sachs from Rewire Fitness. Rewire Fitness is an application that he developed that helps improve mental fitness. What is mental fitness? Well, you're going to find out. He's going to tell us what that is, how to improve it, how to get better. And one of the other things that is important about understanding mental fitness is it helps offset the symptoms of PTSD, and it could be very, very helpful for combat veterans, and there's some military applications to this. So it's going to be a great show. Devil Dog Devin will be there. Karen Fisher, one of our project managers, will be talking about the project of the week. Mrs. Giggles will be there, and John Gallina is on secret assignment at the beach, and hopefully he's doing nothing at the beach on vacation. So next episode coming up next, don't miss it.
Putting the Pieces Back Together, a forum for veterans and the community to connect. Here are your hosts, veterans John Gallina and Brad Borders.
Well, hello, everyone.
Wow, John, you sound different this morning.
Well, you know, I deepened my voice after I went to Marine Corps boot camp.
And when you graduated.
When I graduated, that's right.
You're being all you can be, man.
I don't. That's not it. It's not. It's the few, the proud, the Marines.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Hey, break into that song. What was that song y'all sing?
For those of you who are listening, you're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. We are 501c3 who assists veterans with their housing needs.
All over the country. That was a brilliant intro.
Oh, yeah. You know,
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I did it right.
You did. You did it right. Yeah. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. That is not John Gallina.
It is not.
That is Devil Dog Devin taking his seat this morning. John is on a secret mission on the East Coast in a undisclosed location right now.
Undisclosed.
Undisclosed, yes, that's right. We can't disclose where he is, although he does happen to be just about 2 blocks from my brother at Sunset Beach. Oops, did I say that? Oh, I said that out loud. I'm sorry. But John is actually on vacation, a much-needed vacation this week. Hopefully he is resting and not checking his email.
I highly doubt that.
I highly doubt that, too, but I'm going to give him an order right now. John, don't check your email today. So, awesome.
He'll have email withdrawals.
Yes, he will. He absolutely will. Well, we have an outstanding show. We have new folks in the studio with us. We have the metal queen herself, Karen Fisher, one of our project managers. Good morning, Karen.
Hello, friend.
Yeah, and Karen's going to take care of our project of the week coming up here in a few minutes. And we have an amazing guest and my friend, son Sachs. That is his name. His name is Son. We're going to be speaking with him about an application that he's developed that I'm really excited about, and I'm a satisfied customer of this product that he has developed. And so, Son, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Brad. Great to be here.
Great to have you. So, Devin, you were on a little. Wait a minute. Let me introduce also Mrs. Giggles. And she loves it when I introduce her. This is my wife, Tammy. Everybody say hey to her, and the crowd went wild. Yay! Thank you, Tammy. Hey, good job, Tammy. All right, you're amazing. So we had a crisis at our home last night.
A crisis?
Yes.
How so?
So when I was dating this woman, I decided that I loved her, and then I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. And I bought her a ring at Statesville Jewelry and Loan, and I bought her a diamond ring. I couldn't afford much because I was working at a lumber company. And last night, the diamond fell out somewhere. After 33 years, right? It fell out.
It just fell out.
We searched high and low, man. We were like, I had all of the trash in the driveway, right? Digging, sifting, and we couldn't find it. It was just it was a crisis. So we were in need of some mental fitness and some deep breathing exercises last night, but we've got a path ahead, and her birthday's coming up. So
I see.
I'm gonna have to sell a bicycle to get her a new diamond.
Did you check to see if that squirrel took it?
It could be the squirrel. My dad.
That was the last crisis,
yeah,
right?
that was. That was the last crisis. So anyhow, so all that being said, you were. What? Yes. One crisis to another. That's true. Yesterday, you and Paul and Lamar and Lane, some of our staff were in Wilmington, North Carolina, for a pretty special event. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was a mission complete for Freddie Smith, which I think we talked about that before as one of the projects of the week.
That's awesome.
Right, and that's one of those things where we talk about those projects of the week, and then we're like, hey, if you want to help out a veteran, well, guess what? We're complete with that one now.
Yeah, what is a mission complete? What is that?
A mission complete is just where we go out there when we do a big project, or sometimes it's not a big project. Sometimes it's just big for the veteran.
Mm-hmm.
We go out there and we bring some of the folks for the community and a few of the donors and have a ceremony for the veteran, not only to commence the work that we did, but mainly just to say thank you for their service and show them that the appreciation goes beyond just doing a project for them.
Got it. Yeah. And it was a successful day, man. I saw some cool pictures.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
We had some donors out there that lived in the area, got to come out there and meet them and shake their hands. And sometimes it's just hard to get to do that because they're all over the place. And
right.
That was really wonderful and rewarding. Anytime you get to meet those folks that make it happen.
Yeah, it's about community involvement and getting folks plugged into what we're doing, and that is why we've been able to do what we do, because communities all across the country have pitched in to help their veteran neighbors. And
absolutely,
that's a really cool idea.
You can't do it without the community.
No,
support.
Absolutely not. So, well, that's great. Thank you for sharing that, and it's really good to have you here today. And this is going to be a great show. So, hey, we're going to introduce Son here in a minute, and he's going to share his story with us. But before we do that, we're going to play a promo on the product that Son and his buddy Ed have developed. And so this is about a minute long. And so just listen to this, and you're going to hear Son's voice. It's very relaxing. Okay, here we go. We'll be back in just a second.
The 3 pillars to the Rewire Human Performance System are: number 1, train. Train both your body and mind with Rewire's integrated resilience training system that can be used with a variety of different sports, before, during, and after workouts. Number 2, diagnose. Measure and track your readiness to perform across a holistic set of data points using cognitive, physical, and emotional measures. Number 3, recover. Follow a personalized recovery program to help you optimize your performance each day using protocols from NASA, the Navy SEALs, and neuroscientists. Ready to learn a new way to train your mind and body? For a limited time only, we're offering this 14-day trial. Start your free trial today and learn how to unlock your next level of performance by joining our community of like-minded athletes, scientists, and coaches from all around the world.
Is amazing.
Wow, that's cool.
So if you on our YouTube channel, you'll be able to see the video. But after watching that and hearing Son talk to me, I'm ready to go ride right now. I'm out the door. Here we go. Let's go smash. Right?
Man, you almost got me ready to ride.
Almost, right? Almost. Yeah.
Well, last time you got me into some fitness stuff.
I did. I did. I sort of threw Devin under the bus. I invited him to a workout, and then I didn't show up. That was awesome. That was great. That was so good. Where's Brad? He's not here. No, I forgot he's got a torn quadricep tendon. He can't do these things. So awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Son Sachs of Rewire Fitness. Son, it's a pleasure to have you on the show this morning, my friend.
So good to be here, brother.
Yeah, awesome, man. Hey, do us all a solid, man, and share a little bit about your background and your upbringing, and where in the world did you get a name like Son from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Start with the name. I grew up in the early 70s, and my parents were both hippies, and it was not a cloudy day when I was born. If you get my drift.
Yeah, right.
That was the inspiration for the name.
Man. That's awesome. Did you take any as a kid growing up in the 70s, going to elementary school or wherever you went, that people go, "Hey, what's up with your name?"
Yeah, quite a bit. Kind of, let's say it shaped me.
It made you
Or
tough.
cursed me.
Yeah,
maybe.
that's right. It made you
Better than
tough.
the boy named Sue.
No, that's right. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome, man. That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
tell us a little bit about, you got quite the background in performance athletics, and so share a little bit about how you got into all of that, and then, Lord have mercy, and now you've got this thing that's helping thousands of people all across the world. So, give us a little insight on that.
Yeah. So I grew up in Boulder, Colorado, and got involved in endurance sports really early. This is back in the early '80s. Started bike racing on road before mountain biking really came into the forefront. Raced as a junior. Mountain biking started to become popular, becoming a sport. Got into that. All I wanted to be was a professional athlete, and I had kind of a lot of willpower behind that. And so eventually I did work my way up to an elite level in mountain biking. And I had this mentality of like more is more. And so at some point in my journey, I was training 40 to 50 hours per week.
Good gosh.
On the bike.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can imagine what happened. But actually, you want a really good strength to weight ratio when you're an endurance athlete. I am 180 something right now. I was 135.
Holy
so I was
cow.
50 pounds lighter.
Right.
I remember going to the doctor, and they were doing the body composition test, and they're like, something's wrong with this. Like you keep saying you have 0% body fat. That can't be right. The test was between 0 to 2% accuracy. So let's just say best case I had 2%.
Right. That's not healthy.
I was not healthy. I was not well. It was actually after races, I would be like sick for hours. My body was basically eating itself.
Yeah.
But I just kept pushing, right? Eventually it caught up with me, and I ended up retiring early at 26, and, never really gave up on that idea of being my best sort of athlete. But I did have to walk away from my sport. I didn't even look at a bike for about 8 years. And
you just couldn't even look at it. You just
literally couldn't even look at it.
Yeah, wow.
Let alone ride the bike.
Right. Just walk past it. You had it in the garage, and you just couldn't even look at it.
That's right. And so, and I had a fleet of bikes, which I gave away. So of course I've built that back up again, so no worries. Then I, by just some kind of random fate, I met a friend, and he suggested I get into software and product development because he thought I would be good at it, and I was. So without any real training or background, I just went into it, and this is like in the late 90s, before the dot-com bubble, and ended up meeting my wife. We moved to New York, spent the past 25 years building software products, and also spending a lot of time really looking at the latest techniques and science for performance. And went very deep into meditation, went very deep into quantified self, looking at, my peak color and tracking all my metrics and all this stuff. And, sort of some of the pieces started to come together around, it's very early in HRV, more than 10 years ago, which is a really good metric for tracking.
Yeah, tell everybody what, for those listening, what HRV is, because that's a fascinating subject.
Yeah. So, when we think about our heartbeat, and, maybe it's 70 beats per minute on an average for the average person, you kind of think of it like, okay, every minute and a second and a quarter, my heart must beat very rhythmically. But actually, there's a variation between each heartbeat, the length of time between each heartbeat. And what you actually want is a lot of variation. The best analogy I can think of is think about a car, and basically if you have you push on the gas and the RPMs go up, right? A healthy car, you take your foot off the gas, and you'll see your heart rate go down you'll see the RPMs go down really quickly. But in an unhealthy car, if you put the foot on the gas and you take your foot off, the RPMs stay revving high.
Yeah.
And it's very undynamic, and it can't respond to the demands of the driver.
Yeah.
Same thing with your heart. You want your heart to be able to be very dynamic, and when it needs to ramp up, it ramps up, but when it needs to ramp down, it ramps down.
Yeah.
So that's
And
one aspect.
it's an indicator of fatigue when you have a low heart rate variability, right? And it's just it's only within the last decade or something that the science behind that has really come about. So
Exactly. That's right. So yeah.
Yeah. So
Very early in that, and then the last piece was around this neuroscience that never came to market. One day I was on the bike trainer, and I realized that I could solve the problem, built the product, started testing with athletes like yourself, and over a 3-year journey working with scientists and athletes, we developed the product, which is a mind-body solution for
well, that's a perfect segue.
Stress.
We're going to roll into break, and we'll talk about that when we come back, and we'll have the project of the week. And so thanks for being on the show. You're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together. Well, welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. We're really glad that you're with us today. We have a cast of characters in the studio with us. Devil Dog Evan is here, and Son Sachs. Hoorah! Oh, yes, we're bringing it back. I got a good hua story for you. I might tell that later. And we have our guest, Son Sachs, here from Rewire Fitness. And now it is time for our favorite segment of the week. It's the project of the week for Purple Heart Homes. And we have one of our project managers and new to the show, the Metal Queen herself, Karen Fisher. Good day to you, Miss Karen. What you got for us today?
I have a phenomenal veteran. His first name is Leslie.
Right.
So Leslie is a he.
Okay.
He's 57 years old, and he is born and raised, still living in Greenville, South Carolina. He's a U.S. Army veteran, and he served from 86 to 93. He did his basic training in Fort Benning, and he is a sergeant.
Awesome.
Yeah, he served in combat in the Gulf War.
Okay.
So I've been working with him for well over several months, due to funding kind of running low on us last year. So we've been in touch with each other for a while, and I've really enjoyed getting to know him. But so he attended Voorhees University in South Carolina right out of high school. He wasn't feeling like he was fitting in very well, and he saw a lot of his friends coming in that had served, and he was realizing that they had a different world outlook, and they seemed very disciplined, and he wanted a piece of it. So after 2 semesters, he dropped out of college and enlisted.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. However, once there, he got a really quick lesson and understood that death quickly encompassed him, and he was not prepared for that. He lost 4 battle buddies in 6 months.
Wow.
And then the PTSD set in.
Yeah.
Pretty hard on him. He did serve 7 years, and he wanted to stay enlisted, but he just, in his words, he was broken. So he was ready. It was time for him to go home. That PTSD did a number on him personally and emotionally over the last many years after that. Got in some trouble, with the law, and
sounds like a metal song.
Right?
But I have a Southern accent, so it's really hard to Southern,
right.
trouble.
Got some trouble.
We can start that.
I don't want to talk about it.
Hoorah!
Well, anyway, so he needed help, and he was angry, and he could not get help for many years. It took him until 2012 to finally run into someone through the VA that set him straight. He met Mike Fitzsimmons, who was a Vietnam veteran, and he's a life safety specialist with the VA, his local VA. And he accredits Fitzsimmons for saving his life. He said there were 3 suicide attempts on his part.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was just not in a good place. But realizing this was probably his very last chance at getting somewhere in life and making it through, he just poured everything in to Mr. Fitzsimmons and just, agreed to go forward with his life, you know. So he does feel like he was given a second chance, and he's been in counseling for years, and he does group therapy. He's healing. He said PTSD will always be a part of his life. Struggling will always be a part of his life, but he has tools. So he has a toolbox, and there are days where he just picks out different tools to make it through the day. But really, really nice guy, and he goes by Pops. He has a blended family of 6 children and 23 grandchildren.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
23
Man,
grandchildren.
57. He's not old enough to be Pops, man.
I don't know. That seems a little on the.
23.
Hey.
23.
Hey, watch it.
I know.
I know you probably outrun me.
But his youngest is 15, still lives at home, and it's a girl. And so we commiserated a little bit about teenage girls because I'm living with one too, and it's not easy.
So what did we do for Leslie?
All right, so he has been in significant need of his window replacement, windows being replaced. So the house was built in long ago, very old house, very old windows, letting heat out, letting cold in. And so we were able to replace all of his windows. We're actually going to be doing that near the end of the month of March. Lowe's is helping us with that.
Awesome.
And so all of his windows are going to be replaced. He's just so grateful. And hopefully, Devil Dog will be meeting him on Thursday when you and I go down to Greenville to try to,
Karen, that was a secret mission.
Top secret.
Never,
Not anymore.
Never
Not anymore.
Never mind.
You know what they used to say?
I will be meeting. I will be meeting Mr. Leslie on Thursday, and I can't wait to give him a big hug and tell him thank you for his service.
Really cool.
Yeah, but he wanted me to relay his gratitude to Purple Heart Homes, and he cried.
Yeah.
He cried. So I cannot wait to.
We
to meet
have
him.
such a cool job. We just have such a cool job.
The coolest.
And so, just, ladies and gentlemen, for those that don't know, we have these amazing project managers. Karen's one, Devin's one. All of our project managers, not only just super skilled at like managing projects and getting timelines and calling people and making sure things are set up, but what they end up doing is they end up making friends with all these veterans and bringing them into a community of other veterans that not only that serve them, but other veterans that have been beneficiaries, and it's really cool. And it all culminates in these things that what Devin did on yesterday with the rest of our team, these mission complete ceremonies to kind of put a punctuation point on and celebrate that veteran service and celebrate the fact that their community came around them. It wasn't just Purple Heart Homes, right? It was others that came along and shouldered the load. Absolutely. And it just shows this amazing amount of respect and thankfulness to those that have served, and that's why we love what we do. So
yeah, definitely. There's not one single morning I wake up every single morning ready to go to work to help these veterans 100% of the time.
Awesome. So we're so glad you're on the team. Hey, you did an amazing job. Devin, you're fired. And Karen comes back every week now with a project of the week. So thank you very much.
I'm scared.
Yeah, I'm scared. So, we like to fire people on the air. So,
I've been fired 5-6 times.
That's right.
Now.
We'll bring you back, I promise.
You promoted me this week.
That's right. You got promoted. You're the captain. Yeah. So, hey, that is a perfect segue into resuming our discussion with Son today. His son, Sachs, from Rewire Fitness, is on with us. And thinking about the mental state, recovery from post-traumatic stress and athletics, and how does that all combine? So, Son, tell us about the genesis of this product that you have created and is now implemented out in the world, and people are using it. Tell us about how it got started, and then I'd like to kind of lead in is how could it help veterans? And I think we've got an announcement maybe that we can make this morning as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So back to my story, I realized there was this particular type of neuroscience that never came to market. I had built the skills to to potentially create it. So created it. We did a lot of testing with athletes and worked very closely with scientists. And really what it is, when we think about training the body, we worry about creating the right stimulus for growth. And we also really recognize that recovery is important. The same thing's important for the mind. So we want to have a nice stimulus to develop more resilience in a healthy way. And we also want to think about cognitive emotional load, how we unload that, how we manage it, how we build you up for a difficult training day or challenge. And the way it all works is we assess the athlete every morning, cognitively, physically, and emotionally, and based on their needs and what they're trying to do, we'll give them an intervention to make the best of their day. So we're very real world in that, you can't just take a day off because your HRV score is low or you feel like crap or you got a bad night's sleep. We all have responsibilities that we need to achieve. And this is just a practical way to be able to support your mind and body for the best performance every day.
Yeah. So describe what does it look like when you wake up in the morning? So this is an app that you have on your phone. And so what does it look like when you wake up in the morning and, your kind of your first things that you do in the morning? What do you do?
Yeah. So you wake up in the morning, you'll open up the app. If you've connected different things like a Garmin watch or a ring or any kind of wearable, we'll sync that data so we'll understand sort of how much physical strain you've been under. We'll do what's called a psychomotor vigilance test. It's a test that's been used in sleep studies and actually in the military as well. And what it's going to do is assess your level of cognitive fatigue. It's a reaction time test. You're tapping on the screen every time you see a shape. And from that, we derive a lot of insight. And then we use a emotional questionnaire, which has actually been developed by NASA for astronaut readiness. Ask 4 key questions about your subjective feelings of your readiness to perform. And based on that, we'll give you an overall score, and we'll also break down, here's where you're at cognitively, physically, emotionally, so that we can reflect that back and you can kind of understand where you're at.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So when I get up in the mornings, I do my reaction test. And so I've been doing this for a year now, right? Every morning for a year, creating so I've got a baseline of where I normally am. And I can tell it'll tell you got a terrible night's sleep. You had a bad night's sleep. It knows from the watch that you wear or, whatever wearable that you have. And then I will say this, if I get the notification that I had a bad night's sleep, I can promise you that my cognitive score will be lower, right? It's just right. It's so intuitive, right?
It's logging all this data and it's personalizing it to you.
Absolutely, yeah. It personalizes it, cool. Yeah. And so then there are. Tell us about the recovery aspect of when you put your earphones on. And there's some where Son is talking to me, right? He guides me through different breathing exercises. So tell us a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, so it's pretty unique. It's basically what we call a mindset recovery, which is we create a recipe based on the athlete's needs that day. And it's a combination of different evidence-based protocols. So we'll combine a breathing modality. So what's powerful about the different breathing styles, which is very popular these days, is you can get your body into either a homeostasis, like a rest and recovery, or a ramped up and ready for performance. So just with breathing, we can sort of manage your current body state. We'll also then bring in some neuroscience through the earbuds, and that's going to get your mind into either a calm or focused state using a specific type of neuroscience called binaural beats. And then we'll bring in things like self-talk, visualization cues, and lastly, straight out of science fiction, while you're looking at the screen, we're priming you with positive imagery. So you can't see it, but it's actually getting you into a positive mindset.
Yeah, it is. So it is remarkable. And so the mornings where I know, like if I've got an early morning training ride, that when I'm going to go ride with my buddies, I will do this, right? And and it's different you can pick whether you want to have a recovery day in the mindset preparation, or whether you want to have a mental performance day, right? Or whether you want to have a physical performance day, right?
So
you can pick it.
It's not just geared towards physical fitness.
No.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
absolutely, right? And so I will do that, and then I can literally physically tell when I get done with that, I am like at a different place. I'm much more focused. I'm thinking about, and the other thing is that sometimes the words will come across the screen is the input that you put in there. So when I was recovering from injury, one of the things, I was off my bike, couldn't do much for about 3 months, right?
Right.
And so I put in those statement phrases, those positive things like, I will ride my bike again, right? And that would come up on my screen, and I would see that as I was doing this breathing. And one of the things, when I was in the military, at the Army Special Forces Sniper School, some of my friends who had been through that, they would teach box breathing, right? And so box breathing is a 4-count breathing pattern, breathing in for 4, holding for 4, breathing out for 4, holding for 4. And they would do that. It lowers your heart rate, right? Your heart rate lowers, and it helps your mind focus on the task at hand, right? And so the Army Sniper School Special Forces Sniper School would employ that box breathing when they were training people on how to shoot more accurately. It is fascinating, and I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of all of this, right? And one thing that I've known as someone who suffers from post-traumatic stress, that these techniques have helped me. And again, PTS doesn't just come from combat stuff. It comes from having an injury.
Oh, sure.
Or it comes from having a relationship dynamic, or you lost your diamond ring, right? And it's stressful, right? And so you got to take into account all these things.
There's all sorts of traumas.
Yeah. So we're coming up on a break, and so when we come back, I want to talk to Son a little bit more about the product, where people can find it, but then also too a new announcement. And I want to talk about military application and how this would help folks with PTSD and their recovery from that and their growth through that. So we'll do that here in just a second. Son, before we do that and go to break, tell us real quickly in 1 minute about your involvement with the military and the development with this.
Yeah, so we've been using many of the techniques like box breathing, used famously by the Navy SEALs and the Army, and that literally improves your HRV as well. We have one of our scientists works with Special Forces. He literally said the folks he works with, he's not allowed to know their names.
Yeah.
So we've been collaborating with him and other scientists, and really we're trying to bring all of the elite tools from the military and from neuroscience and sports psychology to everyone. To really democratize that and provide those tools for everyone.
This whole topic is just fascinating to me. So anyhow, we're going to jump into break, and we'll be back more with Son. You can find them if you just Google Rewire Fitness. It's in the App Store. You can go look it up. There's a free trial, and there, I think there's a free side to it as well. But you can try it out for 14 days and see how you like it. And so, hey, you're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. We'll be right back after this break.
Oh, welcome to Putting the Pieces Back Together.
That means you can go now.
Presented by Purple Heart Homes. We're talking to Son about his fitness app. And,
Caught you off guard there.
I did.
Yeah.
I was
like,
so
what were you waiting on? Were you waiting on
the
this?
music. I was waiting on the music to end. It was like so long.
Well, so that's how it works in radio. You have intro music, and you kind of start talking while the music is still playing.
Right? You would think I'd recognize that
you know
after
what this is
being
called?
What's that?
On the job training.
On the job training.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
OJT, baby.
Usually everybody out there doesn't get to see you fail in your job.
Except for when you call attention to it. Oorah.
He just thought he was banging his head.
I was like, I was just waiting for the music to end, and I was going to start talking or like ramp down. You got my headphones so loud that
do you want me to turn them down?
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know which one's yours.
The reason they turn these headphones up so loud is to keep my voice low and level.
That's right. You do have morning voice.
I have morning voice. I have all the time voice, Brad.
You know, there was no other military branch that you should have gone into except for the Marines.
Well, I tried to go into a few others. I walked in the door.
They went, no, you're too loud.
Yeah.
They won't let anybody else share an office with them.
No, it's true.
Can't.
No.
I can't do it.
So there have been people that have been trying to get their own office for years. 2 weeks.
Stay away.
2 weeks. I got my own office.
We were like, I can't take it. I can't take
I
it.
thought I was important. No, I'm
I wasn't important.
I wasn't important
just
at all.
loud.
Just loud. Yeah,
That's fantastic. So for those that don't know, if you go and if you do TikTok at all, right? And I know a lot of people don't do TikTok, but maybe you do. If you do TikTok and you go search for Devil Dog Devin, he created this latest video where he is getting counseled by someone over his crayon eating addiction. It is masterful. It is comedic genius. It could be on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
It absolutely could be. It's fantastic.
The old Saturday Night Live when they were
The
still funny.
old good
Yeah.
Saturday Night
Yeah.
Live. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So, hey, well, welcome back. Hey, we're talking to Son Sachs from Rewire Fitness. Is a mental fitness tool for athletes that helps you get your head right and helps you recover. Hey, Son, tell us about another fascinating thing about Rewire, and folks can find this on their phone and they can implement this. Tell us about neurotraining, right? And we've had a number of discussions about this, but tell us about neurotraining and what that does for you, and what in the world is it, and why is it something I should participate in?
Yeah, exactly. Think of it like mental weights. So in the same way that you push your body physically and there's an adaptation, you can actually do the same thing with neurotraining. And so what it is it's a specific type of cognitive task built around impulse control. And so in other words, you're trying to answer these questions and your natural instinct is typically wrong. So it just requires a little extra focus. Yeah. You multiply that times 1,000 questions over 15 minutes, you have a significant amount of cognitive fatigue, but over time, that creates more resilience around the part of your brain that's responsible for will-driven behavior and your perception of effort. So as you improve that, when you're under a lot of cognitive and physical stress, you're going to be more resilient, and you're also going to have a clearer picture of how physically and mentally hard it is, versus if you don't have a lot of resilience, everything feels a lot harder than it really is.
So I've heard this term neuroplasticity, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Similarly, yeah. This is really about building more capacity. Mm-hmm. Willpower and endurance can only go so far. It's a sort of a limited resource. And so what you're building is a lot more capacity to be able to, endure challenging situations.
Yeah.
And also really work on that sort of willpower component in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Like we could do it in a really unhealthy way.
Sure.
And sure, it helps, but this is something that's a lot more sustainable.
Yeah. It's funny. So I'll get done with the workout, and then the app will go, hey, it's time. If you're depending on what state you're in, right, for that particular day. If you're super fatigued, it won't ask you to do this. But if you're in a good physical state, good cognitive state, based on your sleep, rest, heart rate variability, all of this, and training load, when you get done with the workout, it'll go, hey, it's time for your neuro challenge, right? And so then you open up the app, and the way it works is like these words, like the word red will come up on the screen, but it's written in green, right?
Wow.
And then at the bottom of the page, it'll have the word green, and it'll have the word red, right? And so your challenge is to ignore the word, the big word on the screen, ignore what it says, and only focus on the color and pick the color at the bottom. And you've got right now I've got 1.23 seconds to answer that. And it repeats that over and over and over and over again for anywhere from 7 to 15 minutes, right? And you do that immediately after. And then you answer a battery of questions. How challenging was that? How frustrated were you, right? And then that all aggregates into how it's going to present the task to you the next time.
So you mentioned you had 1.23 seconds. Does that mean that as you get better at it, it changes?
It does. It does.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the time gap goes down as you get better at it. And it's so annoying because if you get it wrong, it does this like sound, right? And then but then if you get it, it's like, and I was doing it one day in the car, and Tammy was like, "Oh my gosh, stop that!" Right? And then if you get it right, it has this very pleasant sound, ding, right? You get a sort of a ding, yeah, and then right, and then. But here's what I found is the more mistakes you make, and the sound of the mistake, it frustrates you even more. And then sometimes I'll just have to stop and not answer a couple so I can get myself back. You really have to focus. And one of the things that I've noticed is that I get done with it, after I get done with neurotraining, I'm able then to leave my workout and do things that I probably wouldn't normally do. I'm thinking better when I leave my workout.
So
it's
it
really
puts you in that positive state
yeah,
of
absolutely.
mind after you leave.
It is absolutely fascinating. Well, son, tell us, when we think about veterans and struggling with, just as Karen talked about, struggling with past trauma in their lives, and some of the symptoms that they go through, the anxiety and fear and things like that. How could something like this be beneficial?
Yeah, that's right. When you're operating, from a really difficult trauma, you're basically going to be in a fight or flight state, throughout the day. You're going to have higher cortisol levels. Your body's going to basically be, and your mind is, going to be hypervigilant. You're going to be, sort of, in theory, looking for threats. Your body is just, and your mind are just stressed, ramped up. This type of solution, what it does, you start with the breathing. It actually gets your body back into a calm, focused state. With that, it also, you can get your mind out of that negative thought pattern. What can happen is you just, you wake up in the morning and you're just on a negative cycle, and you can't get that, those thoughts out of your mind. If you could do something that shifts your attention and also brings you into a positive state, even for a couple of minutes, it can make a world of difference. It's like hitting the reset button.
Yeah.
The other part I would say is just checking in every morning where you're at mentally, emotionally, physically is super helpful.
It is,
so
absolutely.
You know where you're at.
Yeah, like it's called orienting yourself, right, and being self-aware. It helps us to live. So many of us, we live. When you're dealing with trauma, you live in the past. I mean, that's where you live, right? You live in what happened to me. Things that are happening in the now bring trigger mechanisms, like will trigger that, and then you go back to the past. You keep going back and you go back. And then sometimes too, then we focus on the dread of the future, the dread of what is coming, this looking at our calendar and the dread. And so many of us miss the joy of life because we can't be present just right now. Right this very second. I'm just being present with the people I'm around. And when you've experienced trauma, it robs you of that. And there's a lot of so much of the joy of life and being able to live this life that we've been given and been granted, and in my opinion, that God has granted this to us. So much of the joy of life is just found in that very moment, right? And we get so busy planning what's happening, coming up in the future, and we get so busy thinking about what happened in the past and the things that define us and our identity, that we miss the joy of just being in the studio with you guys and talking to my friend's son and laughing at Isaiah, right? And just experiencing these moments that'll never happen again. This minute will never happen again. It'll never be the exact same way again. And being able to just embrace the joy of having this moment. And so when we train our minds, and I know when I train my mind, it helps me to live more in the present, right? And so I'm so thankful for this tool that was, I can't even remember how I found out about it. I never thought I would meet the developer, and I never thought I would become friends with him from afar. But anyhow, I wanted to share this because I've got another really good friend that I met from afar, and a guy named Eric Hill, who is the co-founder of an incredible nonprofit called Project Echelon. And I really what I love to do in life is when I know cool people, I think cool people ought to know each other. And I was like, hey man, Son and Eric ought to meet. Eric has Project Echelon is a professional bike racing team. They're a UCI intercontinental team. They race in the United States. They race in Europe. You got these young guys that are out there crushing it every day, but they're a nonprofit that focuses all their efforts on helping veterans recover in their transition from the military to civilian life through the avenue of physical fitness. And so a couple weeks back, I sent an email to these two guys. I was like, you guys should talk, and I'll leave it at that. And evidently you talked, right?
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
We had a wonderful chat. I'm grateful for that. Yeah, the announcement is we're going to be helping Project Echelon. We'll be giving all of the veterans they work with a lifetime membership for Rewire, all the elite
It's
tools.
incredible, man.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
so cool, man.
That's
Oh
amazing.
my gosh,
That's-
man.
wow.
I can't wait to hear the stories. Now, are the pro athletes going to use it as well?
They are, yes, they're going to use it as well.
Yeah,
So
that
we
is
have
really cool. So Project Echelon has about 300 veterans that are participants in their program, and they're guys like. So I'm a client, right? You know, yeah, right.
You're not just a user.
I'm not just a user. I'm also a client, right? You know, but there's guys like me that are, you know, in their 50s, and we've had long Army careers or Navy careers or whatever, and we still want to stay fit, and we still love the community of being around veterans. But then there's young guys, right? They got out and they're in their 30s. They're still racing. Some of them are racing competitively, and some of them are doing triathlons, or they're runners, or they're mountain bikers, or other levels of fitness. And it's just a really neat community. And Eric started this nonprofit about 2017, and it has grown to where they competed in a race in Mallorca earlier this year with the former world champion Jean Alaphilippe from France was there, and our guys that we know were racing against world championship caliber folks. It was just
that's amazing.
It was amazing to see. And so now I'm so pleased to hear that Rewire and Project Echelon are coming together. So, well, son, tell us, let's look 5 years down the road, man. Where is Rewire Fitness going to be in 5 years? What's your hopes and dreams for this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we start with athletes. That's where I come from. That's where you come from. We start to continue to build and evolve the product. And I think really what we're solving for is the human condition. You know, we're all under a lot of stress. The modern world is not friendly to our biology. And we could all use, those times to check in, to take care of ourselves, to build more resilience. And so I see Rewire as being an essential tool for everyone. Honestly.
Yeah, so at some point there'll be part of the application will be for folks that hey, I'm riding my bike 200 miles a week. It's not my thing. I don't really follow a training program. I just want to be better mentally and emotionally. There will be some type of entry point for that person as well.
Exactly. Yeah, we do already have executives, obviously people from the military, emergency workers, a lot of people that are looking for solutions like this, using it. But I think the product will just keep evolving thanks to feedback from you and a lot of other people. And it will also just continue to get more sophisticated. We'd like to get to the point where we can be predictive about what you need to do to
AI.
get your head on straight.
Yeah, AI. Yeah,
you got it.
That is the term of the day. We'll chat GPT that thing and make it. Yeah. So
I don't know. That's a little scary.
That is a little scary. So hey, we just got a couple minutes left. What I'd like to do, son, thank you so much. Ed Gibbons is your partner in crime over there. Ed lives in the UK, and he does come over, and he's an athlete and a super nice guy. And I've had a number of conversations with Ed, and we're just really thankful for you guys. Thank you for this incredible gift that you're giving to veterans through Project Echelon. I can't wait to hear the stories about what's going to come about through that. It's going to be really cool. So thank you for being on the show today. It's just been fantastic. And I owe you a bike ride. So we need to figure out a way to get together and ride outdoors together, not online, but actually in the real world, so we can experience the here and now together. And so we're very thankful for you, brother.
Let's do it, brother. Yeah, thank you so much. This has
hill.
been a joy to chat with you.
And Rewire Fitness we are featuring Rewire Fitness in Take That Hill, and we've got our first meeting on Thursday. So that's going to happen. So that's going to be on the banner. So
Fantastic.
Hey, Dev, tell us about who we got next week. It's your buddy in Florida.
Oh man, it's Bill Skrbinski.
Oh.
I have butchered his name, and he's going to get me on that. Sarasota, Florida, from SRQ Vets. Don't miss out. He is a devil dog himself.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
no. Hoorah.
And you're going to be outnumbered, I think.
I know. My perimeter has been breached. So, hey, well, thanks everybody for tuning in today. It's been a blessing being with you, son. Thank you. We'll see you next week with hoorah.
Hoorah!
Have a great day.
You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Brad Borders. Join us again next Tuesday at 8 a.m. and Saturday at 5 p.m. for Putting the Pieces Back Together on News Talk WSIC.